हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Radha Giri Govardhana ki jai, Vrindavan Dana ki jai, Mayapur Dana ki jai, Munamai ki jai, Ganga Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Srimati Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Guru, all glories to Shri Guru.
The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain to your devotional service. Bow down to the lotus feet of every order of reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of their suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord without birth. From him I can grow no myths. By him ignorance is destroyed. The living scriptures sing his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy. Friend of the poor and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful to us. Give us a shade of the lotus feet. May we spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter to lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
good.
Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Samkund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
So today's class for Srila Prabhupada will be Srimad Bhagavatam 3:25:17, November 17, 1974. So that's 3:25:17, November 17, 1974. Bombay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Purusha Atmanam. Purusha Atmanam. Kevalam Prakriti Param. Kevalam Prakriti Param. Nirantaram Swayam Jyotir. Nirantaram Swayam Jyotir. Animanam Akhanditam. Animanam Akhanditam. Tada Purusha Atmanam. Tada Purusha Atmanam. Kevalam Prakritik Param. Kevalam Prakritik Param. Nirantaram Swayam Jyotir. Nirantaram Swayam Jyotir. Animanam Akhanditam. Animanam Akhanditam. Tada Purusha Atmanam. Tada Purusha Kevalam Prakritik Param. Kevalam Prakritik Param. Nirantaram Swayam Jyotir. Nirantaram Swayam Jyotir. Animanam Akhanditam. Animanam Akhanditam. The soul can see himself to be transcendental to the material existence, and always self-effulgent, never fragmented, although very minute in size.
Tada Purushamatmanam Kevalam Prakite Param Nirantaram Sayanga Jyoti Animanam Akhanditam. This is self-realization. Self-realization means to see one's proper identity. At the present moment, we are not finding out our proper identity. We are seeing to the body. I see you, your body, and you see me, my body. We have no vision of the real person who is occupying this body. That is the first lesson we get from Bhagavad Gita. Dehi nasmin jatha dehi. Dehi, this body is called Deha, and the owner of the body is called Dehi. Dehi nasmin jatha dehi kaumarajo nang jara tatha dehantara prapti. So, when we can see that we are not this body, I am not this body, that is beginning of self-realization. That is called Brahma Bhuta stage. Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this material body. Aham Brahmasmi. This is self-realization. So, what is the identification of the jiva, of the soul? Very minute. Animanam very, very minute, infinitesimal. God is infinite and we are infinitesimal, very small particle. Just like sun. Sun is very big, but the sunshine, it is a combination of very minute, bright particles, atoms. Everyone knows. It is a combination of, dazzling, bright. Similarly, we are also a small, bright particle. The same quality. Sayana Jyoti. Just like God or Brahma is Jyoti, we are also Jyoti. But Brahma is all-pervading, infinite. We are Unimanam. The Mayavadi theory is that at the present moment I am the same. Their theory is Ghatakas Patakas. Just like in a ghat or in a pot, there is within the pot there is sky, and outside the pot there is sky. So the separation is due to the wall of the pot. When the wall is broken, then the inside sky and the outside sky become one. This is Mayavada theory. Therefore, here it is said, akhanditam. Akhanditam means not that the sky within the pot is fragmented from the whole sky. That cannot. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is said, Achchedayam, Achchedda. It cannot be cut into pieces. Akhandi. That means it is minute perpetually, eternally. Mamaivangsa jiva bhuto jiva loke sanatana. Sanatana means eternally. We are small. Anu, Animanam, and God or Krishna is Vibhu. God is great. Means nobody is equal to him, nobody is greater than him. That is greatness. God is great, but we say God is great, but we do not know how great he is. He is so great that millions of universes are coming from the wholes of his body. Jasyaika nishasita kalamathavalamba jivanti loma vilaja jagadannanatha Vishnu mahanasa yajasya kalaviseshu govindamadi purisam tamaham bhajami. The millions of universes are coming from the breathing of Mahavishnu. So that is a little idea of the greatness of God, Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Athava bahunaitena kingatena tavarjuna Vishtabhyam aham Krishnam ekangasena sthito jagat. This jagat, this material world, is situated on the strength of one part of me. So, this is self-realization. We must understand our position. In the Puranas also, our minute particle identification, what is that? 1/10,000 part of the top of the hair. We cannot see even the top of the hair. That you divide. Kesha agra, the front portion of the hair. Kesha agra satobhagas. You divide into 100 parts. Satadha kulpitasya cha. Again take one part and divide into 100 parts. That is the dimension of the jiva. That small particle is there within the ant, the microbic germ, and that part is within the elephant. Jiva bhuta mahava. That is the dimension. So self-realization means one must know his identity. That identity, that small particle is there within me, within you. Dehi nasmin jathat dehi. Dehi is within, the there. But because it is so small with our material eyes, it is not possible to see. There is no such instrument that you can find out. Therefore, on account of our inability to find it out, we say it is nirakar. Because we cannot calculate what is the akar, what is the dimension. But the akar is there. The living entity has got full akar. If you have studied the small microbes, sometimes I see at night when I work, a small insect, just like a full stop. It is walking. That means the whole physiological combination and anatomy physiology is there. But you cannot see just like a full stop. So within that there is the soul. And within the elephant or big animal, there is also the soul. The soul is there. Asmin dehi, dehi nasmin jatha dehi. That is there. So when we actually realize what we are, Brahmanubhuti, then our life is successful. Now we are identifying with this body. So long we are identifying with this body, we are no better than the cats and dogs. Whatever knowledge you may have, scientific knowledge, if you do not know yourself, then you are nothing but the animal. The animal does not know. Jasyātu buddhi kunape tridhātuke. If somebody considers that this body I am self, identify. I am Indian, I am American, I am Brahman, I am Khatri, I am man, I am woman, I am elephant, and so on. So, this kind of identification, jasyātma buddhi kunape tridhātuke. Kunape means this is a bag made of kapha pitta vayu, tridhātu. Jasyātu buddhi kunapeti dhatuke sadhik kalatra disubhoma yujjati. And thinking that in bodily relationship, I am thinking he is my own man or relative. Jasyātu buddhi kunapeti dhatuke sadhik kalatradisu. Kalatra means because they have intimate relation with woman and offspring, children born of her, so kalatradishu, and bhoma ijjati, and the land as ijja. Ijja means worshipable. Nowadays it is very prominent. I heard that for land there was a fight in somewhere near. So that is going on, nation to nation, community to community. The bhoma ijjati. They are thinking this land is mine. The land of my birth is mine. We have seen there was fight between Hindu and Muslim during partition days. This is my Pakistan, this is my Hindustan. So bhoma ijjati. Jasyātu buddhi kunapeti dhatuki sadhik kalatradisu bhoma ijjati. Jat tirtha buddhi salile. Now we go to Tirthasthan. We go to Haridwar and Vrindavan and other nice holy places, and the Christian go to Jordan, so Jerusalem, they take bath in the Jordan. Jat tirtha buddhi shalile. Shalile means water. Jashat buddhi kunapeti dhatake jat tirtha buddhi shalile. Na karechi janeshu abhigneshu. But have no interest to understand his identification, spiritual identification from the Acharya. Janeshu abhigneshu. Abhigya means one who knows. Acharya. Tad vijnanatham sa gurumeva avigachet. This is the Vedic instruction. To understand your spiritual identity, you must find out a proper guru. Tad vijnanatham sa gurumeva avigachet. So he has no such knowledge. Acharyaman purusha veda. So he has no knowledge. This is superficial. Saeva gokhara. Such person is no better than the cows and the asses. Means animal. So this is self-realization. When one understands that I am not this body. I am minute particle of the Supreme. Krishna says, everything is said there, we have to realize it. Krishna says, Mami Vang. Although Angsha and Angshi, the whole and the part is never equal to the whole. That is axiomatic truth. But it is equal in quality. Just like little particle of gold is also gold. It is nothing but else. Similarly, although you are part and parcel of Krishna, very minute, infinitesimal, animanam, perpetually, eternally, still we are not as big as Krishna. Just like small particle of this sea water, the chemical composition is the same. You will find the same taste. And if you analyze, you will find all the same ingredients, chemicals within the small particle. But the small particle is never equal to the sea, small particle of the water. This is it. If I think, because I am qualitatively one with God, therefore I have become God, that is mistake. That is avisuddha buddhaya. They have been described in the Shastras as avisuddha, unclean intelligence. Unclean intelligence. Jennero bindakha vimukta manina. Some Mayavadi philosophers think that I am the same. Soham. Soham does not mean that I am equal to God. Nobody can be equal to God or greater than God. That is not God. Krishna says in the Bhagavad, Matta parataram nanyat kinchis asti dhananjaya. So nobody can be greater than God or equal to God. That means greatness of God. Asama urdha. Asama means nobody is equal to him. And nobody is greater than him. That is God. If somebody claims to be God, then he has to prove that nobody is equal to him and nobody is greater than him. Then he is God. This is the simple definition of God. That nobody equal to him and nobody greater than him. That is Krishna. Krishna says that matta parataram nanya kinchis asti dhananjaya. My dear Dhananjaya Arjuna, there is no more superior authority than me. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said, Ishara Parama Krishna. Ishara means controller. So we small living entities, very minute, still we are controller. We control, at least we control our family members, my wife, my children, or if I am bigger, I control my office, or I control my factory, I control the country, I become president. In this way, bigger controller, go to the Brahma, the controller of the universe. But he is also not supreme controller. It is said, Tene Brahma is meditating. Although he is the greatest creature, living creature within this universe, he is also meditating to learn controlling. Tene Brahma Rida Adikave Mayanti Jasuraya. He learned first of all how to control over the universe. Then he became Brahma. Of course he was born Brahma, but he has to be educated. Just like we require to be educated. So Brahma was educated. So who educated him? Krishna. Aham adirhi devanam. Krishna says. Aham adirhi devanam. Deva, the original Deva is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha. So Vishnu, Krishna is Vishnu, but he is the instructor of Brahma and Shiva. This is the Shastric conclusion. That is greatness. That is greatness. So, we should not falsely claim that I am as great as the Supreme God. No. We should understand this. Animanam sayang to jyoti, I am as effulgent. That's like spark. Spark is jyoti, but not as brilliant, effulgent as the original fire. The original fire, there are some sparks. You have got experience. The spark is also jyoti. If a spark falls on your cloth, it will immediately burn. The burning capacity is there, but it is not as good as the original fire. Sayanga jyoti, here it is said, nirantaram. So nirantaram means there is, so far jyoti is concerned, there is no difference. But this small, very small, animanam, akhanditam, this is self-realization. Don't falsely claim that because I am qualitatively one with God, therefore I am God. No. You may be God. God means controller. But you are not the Supreme God. The Supreme God is Krishna. Ishara Parama. Parama means Supreme. We are Ishara. You may be Isha. I may be Isha for few person. Another may be for a big nation. Another may be for the... You can go on increasing. But you cannot reach the position of God. That is Abhusiddha Buddha. Therefore Shastra says, Jannaira Bindakha Vimukta Manina Tai Astabhavad Abhusiddha Buddha. One who has advanced very much in spiritual knowledge, but he's thinking himself, now I have become liberated. Sometimes they claim I have become Narayan. Therefore Mayavadis, they address one another, Namo Narayan. Everyone has become Narayan. So how everyone can become Narayan? Is so many Narayan? No. Narayan is one. God is one. Narayan. Therefore Shastra warns, just to Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivati Samattena Vikheta Sa Pasandi Bhavidruvam. Is Pasandi. If one compares Narayan with other demigods, now unfortunately it has come to so downtrodden position, the intelligence, that they are talking of Daridra Narayan. What is this? This is first. Narayan is the exalted Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even Shankaracharya, he says, Narayana para abhaktyat. Narayan is beyond this universe. Para abhaktyat. Abhaktyat annasambhava. And the whole universe is product of this abhakta. So we should not compare Narayan with anyone else. But to speak of Daridra, that is a foolishness. Narayan is Lakshmipati, the husband, the controller of the goddess of fortune. And how he can be Daridra? This is misunderstanding. Therefore Shastra warns, Jastu Narayana Devam Brahma Rudradi Devati Samattena Vikheta Sapasandi Bhavidruvam. If anyone thinks that Narayan or other demigods are equal to Narayan, Sapasandi, he is Pasandi, atheist. So we should not think like that. You may think that you have become liberated, you have got the position of Narayan, that is all false thinking. Abhishuddha Buddha. They have been addressed as Abhishuddha, non-purified, Buddha, intelligent, not intelligent. Jannero bindakha vimukta manina tai astabhavad. This is why these things happen. One compares Narayan with ordinary demigod or ordinary man. Because Abhishuddha Buddha, their intelligence is not purified. So, Arujya Krichena Parang Padang Tapa, such person by severe austerities and penances may elevate oneself to the position of Brahma state. Arujya Krichena Parang, Parang Pada means Brahma Pada. Arujya Krichena Parang Padang Tata Patanti Adha. Again he falls down. Why? Anadita Jusmatang Raya. Because they neglected to worship your lotus feet. So, unless one becomes devotee, there is no secure position in the spiritual world. One may, just like a very crude example, you may have very powerful Sputnik, just like these people are trying to go to the moon planet with powerful, what is it called, the machine? Rocket, yes. But going with great force. But Arujya Krichena, similarly one can rise up to the Brahma effulgence. But if there is no shelter, just like these people are going, but they don't get any shelter. But they come down again. Similarly, one by severe austerities and penances may go up to the Brahmaloka, but he has no position. He has no position because in the Brahmaloka or Vaikuntha Loka, in the Parabhoma, the spiritual sky, there are spiritual planets. They are called Vaikuntha Loka, hundreds and millions. There are very, very big planets than these material planets. So unless you get a shelter in one of the planets, then you again fall down. So that is because we are after Ananda, Satchit Ananda, simply to rise to the platform of Brahma, that is Sat, partial realization of the absolute truth. Sat. Then Chit, Chit means knowledge, that is also partial. Ananda, Sat Chit Ananda. When that Ananda you cannot get, just like if you simply in the sky you fly, you don't get Ananda. Therefore you have come down again to the airport. Without that there is no Ananda. Similarly, simply rising up to the Brahma effulgence, there is no Ananda. Ananda means you have to enter into the spiritual planet where Narayan, Krishna is there. Parastasmat bhavanya bhakta bhaktya sanatana. You have entered to that eternal planet. You must get some residence. The impersonalists, they do not get that. They remain, just like you remain in the sky, you cannot be happy. You want some planet. But if you cannot get planet, then again you come back in this planet. So arujya krichena parang padang tata patanti adha. again in this material world. Therefore, we have to take to Krishna consciousness. That is real self-realization. And what is that? Very simple thing. Krishna says, Janma karma me dibbam je janati tat. If you simply try to understand what is Krishna, why does he come, what is his business, what is his form, the janma karma me dibbam je janati tat tat takta deham punar janma naiti mameti. Simple process. He tried to understand Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness movement. We are simply teaching how to understand Krishna. And if anyone is fortunate to understand, then his life is successful. Janma karma me dibbam. So, tada purusa atmanam kevalam prakite param. Prakite param. Now we are thinking, I am the product of this material world. I am Indian. What I am Indian? Because my body is Indian, I am Indian? No. I am the spirit, soul. Aham Brahmasmi. That is self-realization. The whole world is fighting. I am Indian, I am American, I am Pakistani, I am Hindustani, I am Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Brahmin. Dehatma buddhi. So, one has to realize that I am not this body. Kevalam pakite param. I am beyond this world. I have a far transcendental to this material world. How it is possible? Tadala kamalobhades. We have discussed this verse yesterday. Hanga mamabhimana uthya utthai kamalobhadi. Kamalobhadi. Malai. So long we have got the desire, lusty desire and greediness for enjoying this material world, then it is not possible. We have to become free from these lusty desires. So, this is Bhakti-yoga process. Bhakti-yoga, if we adopt the Bhakti-yoga process, then you become free from the Kama-lobha. Kama-lobha means the influence of tamagun and rajagun. So, as soon as we become free from, we have to become free from all the gunas. Because cheta gunai, cheta khalu asya bandhai. So, to become free from the gunas, that is simply explained in the Bhagavad Gita. You engage yourself in devotional service, you become immediately free from the influence of the gunas. Mancha bhavicharini bhakti yogena jasevati. Anyone who is engaged in rendering service to the Lord, bhakti yoga according to the, because we are not expert in approaching the Supreme Lord, therefore we have to follow the principles of Bhakti Yoga as enunciated by the Acharyas. Just like when a boy goes to the school, he has to follow the rules and regulations. But after some time, when he becomes accustomed, then he hasn't got to be taught. He learns automatically. He comes exactly in time to the school, he takes his seat, he studies nicely. Therefore, abhyasa yoga yuktena, cetasa nannagamina. We have to practice abhyasa yoga. You must stand 16 down. That must be done. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. You must rise early in the morning, perform Mangalarati, Sadhu Shastra, by the order of spiritual master, by the order of the Shastras. You have to execute this function of Bhakti Yoga. And as soon as you become attached to it, you become practiced to it, immediately you become self-realized. Thank you very much.
pray she'll forgive any mistakes or impediments I make. Om Gyananandasya Nananjalakshakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminichi Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravadi Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschachate Sitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gauravaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Firstly, I'd like to ask if anybody has any reflections or things they'd like to share from Prabhupada's class this morning.
I really like this point about Srila Prabhupada also comparing how in those who are aspiring for Brahman realization and they just end up in Brahma Jyoti, and he was comparing it just like if we were in the sky, we can't just stay there in the sky because we will just get bored and we will be looking for a planet, but we can't get to the planet and we just have to come back again. He said, oh, if you can't just stay in the sky, you have to come back to the airport. So similarly, the impersonalists, they can't just stay in Brahmajyoti, they have to come back because they're looking for this Ananda bliss, and it's not there in the sky, in the Brahmajyoti, it's not there.
Yeah, I really like this point. It was making me think, because Prabhupada spent so much time in aeroplanes, he was travelling so much, that he was probably meditating on this whilst being stuck in an aeroplane, that it's not our natural position to just be there, there's no bliss, so we have to find shelter. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna. I liked the comparison that Srila Prabhupada made with the Mayavadi philosophy, that with the clay pot, that the sky is in the clay pot and the sky is outside the clay pot, but by breaking the clay pot, it's not the same. And I also liked the way he explained about how small we really are, and how big and infinite God is. We cannot be the same. We can be a little spark, we have the same quality, but we're never going to be the same, and we can never merge into God.
Yeah, very nice point.
I love the Prabhupada's ability to make the Mayavadi philosophy just sound absolutely ridiculous. It's like, at least for me, it kind of leaves no doubt that this is not at all a sound philosophy. And I like Prabhupada's point that the impersonalists, they might go up to, he used the comparison of a rocket, that we go up to the moon, or they try to go to the moon, but they don't find any shelter there, so they have to come back to the earth. So he's saying the same with the impersonalists. They might make it up to the Brahmajyoti or Brahmaloka, but they don't find any shelter there, they don't find, like Matthew was saying, they don't find any bliss, so then they have to come back down. So we're all looking for shelter. It's a nice point.
Yeah, and the analogy of the rocket's quite powerful, because it's so much effort and energy is taken for us to get from this planet up to the closest of the moon. It's so much effort, and then even then it's a very uncomfortable position. You can't breathe, you can't exist. Whereas if we follow the process that he says, then it's natural and we get to a place we're supposed to be. But yeah, I think that sort of sums up this talk. Prabhupada was just, I feel it's one of his most enjoyable pastimes, is just destroying Mayavadis. Because he gives, near the start, he gives the analogy of the clay pot, which personally, oftentimes when individuals are presenting someone else's philosophy, which they disagree with, they present it in a way which, a straw man, or like something which is easy to destroy. Whereas I found the clay pot, he presents it in a way which is quite convincing. It makes sense. There's sky within the pot, and there's sky without the pot. So once the walls of the pot break, then the sky emerges. But yeah, so I'd like to ask, he defeats this argument in 3 stages. So what's the first stage, do we think, that Prabhupada uses to defeat this argument of the clay pot? How does he establish that we're not going to merge in with the Supreme Brahman after we die or get liberated? Can anyone think?
I'm not sure if it's the first stage, but at one point he says, akanditam, that we're not fragmented. The soul is never fragmented. So in that sense, there's no question of merging with the outside. Was that the first one?
So it's akanditam animanam. So the soul is eternally minute and individual and not fragmented. So he gives some analogies for this to describe how the soul is so small.
I don't know if it's, I might be wrong, but when he talks about the sun and the rays, and he mentions that there's a distinction that the sun is like the Supreme Personality of God, and then the rays, they're like small, minute particles. So they're separate, although they might conclude that it's the same thing, but they're not. There's that difference. Yeah.
Which is really interesting. I love the way Prabhupada so many times uses the sun as a source for his analogies. And just listen to this. I was wondering, I could think of a couple of different examples, but I was wondering if people could quickly name some analogies Prabhupada uses to describe Krishna or our relationship with Krishna that focus on the sun.
I think in Ishopanishad he said the sun is never contaminated.
Yeah,
There's one.
Mantra 8, yeah.
Mantra 8.
The sun and sunshine.
Like Paramatma and Brahman.
The sunshine is never separate from the sun.
Yeah.
So the jiva is never separate from Krishna.
I think the one for where the sun is out of our vision, and so we think that it's not there, but really the sun is there all throughout. So similarly, we might not see Krishna, but Krishna is always there.
Yeah, maybe clouds are in front of it, but of course clouds cannot impact the sun, but they just impact our. There's a couple of others. Maybe how Krishna takes birth in this world. To us, it seems like the sun that rises and sets, but the sun is constant. It's just the earth that moves. So there's loads of analogies like this, and I was talking to Navadvip Chandraprabhu, and he was suggesting it's like Krishna leaves hints of himself. Like when people make video games or design buildings, they put like secret Easter eggs of their own personality, and it's like, because the sun is the most blindingly obvious aspect of human existence. Everyone across the world focuses their life around the sun. We get up at time and we work and everything to do with the sun. Just like you have any inclination to know about God, you just look up, and it's like an instruction manual of what our relationship with God is like, which is nice. Yeah. So initially, Prabhupada in this class, he establishes that the jiva is eternally individual and minute. Then secondly, he goes on to establish, then I'll know what he establishes next. That we are really small. What's his next point? Can anyone think? In contrast to how small we are.
Krishna is Vibhu, we are Anu.
God is great, he says. And what analogies or descriptions does he give of the greatness of God? He doesn't just say God is great. He sort of laughs at the Christians or maybe who say just God is great, but he gives specific examples. Can anyone remember?
speaks about how many innumerable universes.
Mahavishnu.
Emanate.
Yeah, so we established the situation that we are very small, God is very great. And then his third point, the sort of conclusion, does anybody know what it is?
I'm not sure whether this is it, but he did say that there's no one equal or greater than God himself. That's just God, you know. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't compare yourself, and you can't compare Brahma or Shiva to him either, so...
Yeah, so find that...
What occurred to me about this position of the jiva, relatively speaking, is in this wonderful verse from Shikshakstakam Trinadapi Sunichan Taro Eva Sashnuna Amanena Manadena Kirtanya Shadhari. It's knowing oneself that when we think we're lower than, we'll understand that we're insignificant, you know, like the straw in the street. But we have to give all respect to others because we're part and parcels of Krishna. So we give all respect and don't expect any respect for ourselves, because basically we should know that our platform is one of equality, not man, woman, and as Prabhupada said, all these material designations, that we're his parts and parcels, you know, irrespective of body of elephant or man or woman. And this is a nice platform to be, because then we don't identify with man and woman. You know, so many women's lib, men's lib, God knows what is men's lib now, and it's all a sort of a position they're trying to prakriti kriyamane ne gune kaman. We got a false ego, and we're trying to identify all the time with this body, which separates us from each other actually, and which is unfortunate, because we don't have to defend our bodily position at all, because we're spirit soul, and we should realize that sort of thing, and setting up different groups within even religious groups where they have a separate ladies and men's. It's sort of understandable, because there's different etiquettes and understandings of our position relative to each other because of this man and woman business. But it's just in terms of giving all respect to others, like you respect a tiger, you respect a gorilla, because we're basically all spirit souls, but we have to understand that they've got a different body. A tiger will eat you, so there's given all respect to the tiger's position. You know, woman has baby, giving all respect to that. You know, so as soon as we get off the bodily platform, these things are Krishna's arrangement for the material world. But not only that, it's arrangement in the spiritual world, where even the aunties, they like to be old because they're Krishna's auntie, you know, so they're eternally old. It's an amazing thing. So they don't identify with the body, they identify with their relationship with Krishna.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a really deep point. Yeah, because this is sort of the conclusion of Prabhupada's talk here, that is all to do with our relationship with the Supreme. Whilst we have these, he says, lusty desires to enjoy, we get attached to these, you know, designations, man and woman or Muslim, and he always gives so many different examples. I am American, Hindu, but the process to overcome these designations that we get attached to is the process of bhakti. So in this way he defeats the argument so nicely and so clearly that the Mayavads are saying that we can merge into the Supreme, and he says no, we are eternally minute and individual. He says God is immensely great, the greatest, inconceivable in this respect, and our eternal relationship with him is one of servitude. And he makes a very interesting point at the end, the very last line of the talk. I can't quite remember it exactly, but it says something. If someone could, if you have it there, it's about being.
It says, by the order of the spiritual master, by the order of the Shastras, you have to execute this function of Bhakti-yoga, and as soon as you become attached to it, you become practiced to it, immediately you become self-realized.
It's like, that's such a Prabhupada statement. Immediately you become self-realized. Now of course there's qualification beforehand, you have to become practiced in it and attached to it. But I was wondering if anyone have any thoughts what it means that immediately become self-realized, because how attached and how practiced do we have to be in order to reach this self-realization?
So I understood the question was what does it mean to be self-realized?
Yeah, well, Prabhupada says that we take to bhakti, or we become attached to it, and then we become self-realized. So we can be attached to this process and not be self-realized. I'm attached to many things about this process, but I'm definitely not self-realized. So what does it mean when Prabhupada says this?
As understood, actually, that self-realization means that we understand ourselves as a soul, not as a body, and that we know that we are eternal servants of Krishna, in the sense that when we are doing the process nicely and avoiding offenses and being absorbed in it, then actually this kind of comes naturally, that we actually feel like this, and then it's that the process is helping us to come to the point where we are acting like a soul, not as a body anymore.
Thank you.
He gives the analogy of the boy who goes to school, and at the beginning he's following rules and regulations, but then he reaches a point that they become, what does he say? He has to follow the rules and regulations, but after some time when he becomes accustomed, then he hasn't got to be taught. So, you can kind of connect that with like the stages of devotional practice. And we're following all these different stages, but then it reaches a point like in Nishta, you're steady and you're carrying on, you're not really needing to follow, but I think that's in Bhav, I think so, where you're following, you don't need to follow the rules and regulations because you're fully established there. So, but that's obviously a matter of time and practice. So probably Prabhupada, yes, uses immediately you become self-realized, but immediately, is relative to how, fast you take up the process, how fast we rise up to through the processes of devotional service. But if we are to become practiced in Bhakti-yoga, then that would probably be the natural byproduct. But at the moment, I can speak for myself, I'm still, trying to follow the rules and regulations and put my heart into those, and that's obviously going to take a lot of time. And by Krishna's mercy, then that can be made to be more natural and accustomed towards us. Yeah, that's what I got from that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Immediate is relative, because in the grand scheme of things, for many, many lifetimes we've been trying to get here. We take the process, and the process works. So it sort of is immediate. But for us, whilst we're sort of struggling through it, it may seem like it's taking some time. But is there anything else anyone would like to share?
at the end, Prabhupada mentions how we're supposed to become attached to the process of bhakti. So we can understand from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So as we become attached to bhakti, then Krishna will be pleased and he'll reward us with self-realization as his mercy, because otherwise, without his mercy, it's not possible to become self-realized.
Thank you.
Once the question was put, I think, to Pankajanri Prabhu in Mayapur, how do we understand our, our progress or our attachment, to this bhakti? And he said, well, if I ask you, you are no longer allowed to chant Hare Krishna. You're no longer allowed to be able to read Bhagavad Gita. It's taken away from you. How would you feel?
Yeah.
And it answered the question.
That's a really useful way of measuring, actually. How much... Because I personally had sort of measured how much I was attached to this process by how little I was attached to material life. But that's not a very good or accurate measurement, because I get attached to more subtle aspects of material life. Whereas it's very useful to see that, yeah. So, thank you very much, everybody. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Shri Juta Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Chakrajatam Radhana Raghunathan Nisam Ram Sajivam Sadhaitam Savadhutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishnapada Gagana Lalita Sri Radha Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
considered in Wait, are you because you were saying because Brahma said that he worships
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadeshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.